Okay, don't call me a reviewer. I'm not a reviewer. I might say it in passing just by mistake because it's the easiest thing to describe myself as. I'm more of a guy that does stuff but likes to talk about movies. Because of that, it's convenient sometimes for me to say my opinions about movies. But don't ever take anything I say as like, I think you should think this. No. Bad. Don't do that. I'm not a movie reviewer. I'm not a fucking critic. I'm a critic, like I'm critiquing these, but I'm not critiquing it with any sort of holier-than-thou mindset like my opinions are the correct ones, except when they are. Welcome back to another episode of Dante's Drive-In. On this episode, we're going to be covering everything I watched in the month of July. I'm back in my original spot. Boy howdy, where there were some interesting things that I saw. I'm going to get the stupid shit out of the way first. Went and saw the Forever Purge. So with the Purge movies, I don't remember any of them. And I'm pretty sure I've seen them all. I know obviously the premise of the Purge, because everyone knows the premise of the Purge, but they're just such nothing entities. They come and then they go and they're gone forever without any need to revisit them. Just because there was a new one coming out, I was like, hey, maybe I'll cover all of them. I didn't. I just don't fucking care. I went and saw, I think, only 2 of them in theaters, if you count this one, because I saw the first Purge, not the first Purge, but the first Purge. When it first came out, I saw that with some friends. It was cool because we left the theater. I remember everyone was having a good time. I'm not saying they're bad, they're just extremely forgettable. We were all having a good time, and all I recall about the film was that it was a prequel, and we left the theater, and it was on July 4th. So the entire town was like lighting off fireworks and the streets were like covered in smoke, and it was just like every 2 seconds there was an explosion somewhere. And it felt like we were in the Purge, and we walked to an Arby's and we got food and ate it right on the street. I remember it being just a very delightful evening with some friends, and that was all I recall about that evening. I don't remember the movie at all. The first 3, is this the 5th Purge movie? Because there's the Purge, there was the Purge Anarchy, and there was the one where there was an election, and then there was the prequel, the first Purge. And I think that's it. I feel like there was something else that I'm forgetting, but whatever it was, I didn't see it. I know that. So, what did I think of the Forever Purge? Well, it's been a whole month since I've seen it, so we're already getting close to that time where it's about to exit my brain, but from what I recall, it was fun. It wasn't extraordinary, it wasn't stupendous, and honestly, it almost didn't even make it onto this drive-in episode. One thing I did like about it was that it was set during the day. That was kind of an interesting flip on the typical Purge thing. They're always set at night, you know. And obviously this one's the Forever Purge, so I was interested to see how that was going to function. What's notable is I'm almost certain that this movie was intended to come out last July. The COVID happened, so then they pushed it to this July, which is interesting to me because the whole premise of this film is a bunch of fucking stupid-ass fascist, fucking racist, you know, conservative people. They create their own, like, fucking second party, and they're all convinced that they're secretly in charge. They're conspiracy theorists. They're all a bunch of fucking QAnoners, basically. And they, like, extend the Purge indefinitely to go kill a bunch of Mexicans. That's kind of the point. And then the Mexicans turn out to be fucking awesome. Because, speaking from the experience of somebody who knows a lot of Mexicans, it's typically true, and they start killing a bunch of fucking fascists. And so that's obviously just, I was just eating popcorn, I was entertained as shit, and that was the end of it. But what's interesting is it was supposed to come out last July, which means this movie was very perceptive and in tune with the sub-political climate. This attempted coup hadn't yet happened. The siege on the Capitol hadn't yet happened. But this movie already knew that there was a strong enough far-right psychotic QAnon conspiracy group that was going to, you know, have its little bubble grow and grow until, like, all of a sudden everybody just didn't even realize it was there and then it blew up in their faces. That's basically what the plot of this movie is, because you've got your libs, you've got your right-wingers, and then you've got your fucking hard right-wingers, which are the villains of the film, who are committing the Forever Purge. And nowhere in there is there a lefty, so that was kind of a bummer. The movie tries to do this, like, both sides thing, which always pisses me off, just in general, and it's hard to discuss the Purge movies without being political, but they're very sloppy about their politics. They're never, like, going in with a surgical knife and know exactly what they want to say. They more just like to throw, like, political imagery up at you, and then you're supposed to be like,
oh, that's kind of smart. They're referencing something that's happening right now. This is current. This is hip and with it.
When really it's not. It's just like, it's lib shit. If you've seen the movies, you know what I mean. And I'm not striking on new ground by saying any of this. It's just, they like to parrot political imagery and to give the movie some sort of, like, revenance to make it seem smarter than it actually is. And I don't want to say it like that, like, oh, it thinks it's smarter than it actually is. It knows it's dumb. It's just, it's like political exploitation, I guess. And there's not really any horror films out there that are like that other than The Purge. One thing I do appreciate is the Purge films have skewed farther and farther into action territory. This one has some really fun sequences. It's basically all gun shit. It's completely devoid of any slasher stuff. However, the Toolbox Killer makes a cameo in this film, and I thought that was kind of neat. I don't know, it just was, it was weird because it tried to do the both sides thing, where this Mexican guy, who's, like, a really cool character, just, like, both, like, you know, he's a cool character, but I mean, like, as a character in the movie, I just really was on his side, and I really liked the character. And he has this conflict with one of the other main characters in the film, who I was convinced was going to be, like, a villain or something, but he ended up not being, who's, like, the typical kind of just your base conservative, okay? Like, the conservative you know in real life, or, you know, the conservative that people can agree to disagree with, I guess I should say. That guy doesn't like him because he's Mexican, okay? And they have a conversation about this during the heat of the fucking film. And he basically, the Mexican guy's like, you don't like me because I'm Mexican. And then that guy's like, it's not that I don't like you, partner. It's just, I think you should stick to your own kind, and I should stick to mine. I just don't think we should mix. That's all there is to it. Is that such a kind? And the Mexican guy's like, yeah, you're kind of right. And it's never addressed again for him to be like, yeah, that was kind of a fucked up thing for you to say. Like, it's just like, huh, yeah, he's not racist. He just thinks they should stick to their own kind and not crossbreed with us white folk. It's like, what the fuck? And he's not killed. He's not punished, like, thematically. There's no, like, come to Jesus moment in the third act. Sure, at the end of it, like, they team up and they fucking kill all the guys together, and they team up with this fucking badass, like, G.I. Joe character at the end of it. They never, like, amend that. They just say it, and it feels like the movie is framing that as the middle of the road position. And that's fucking stupid and it's fucked up, because there are seriously a subset of people who are like, they don't believe they're racist. They just don't want to have to associate with people of other races. They're not racist. They just don't. It's just kind of weird to, like, be with other cultures, and it just makes them feel all icky. That's fucking racism, dude. And this movie just treated it like it was not. And maybe there was a scene that was cut. Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but I just remember that sticking like a lump in my throat the rest of the movie, and it really fucking sapped any enjoyment I was having, because they set that guy up as being this fucking dickhead, and you're all on the side of Mexican guy. I don't remember any of these characters' names. It's a fucking Purge movie. They set him up as being that, and then they never really capitalized on it, and that just was kind of weird. The movie ends without any clear path forward for this franchise, and I guess the point is that this infighting and these conspiracy theorists and stuff will ultimately be the downfall of this country, or at least in the Purge canon, but you're supposed to kind of apply Purge politics to real world politics and draw comparisons and parallels and all that kind of, you know, the thing they want you to do when they put the fucking MAGA hats and the Blue Lives Matter shit in the movie. Like, they want you to kind of draw parallels with our world. And to somebody who's not already really into the political sphere, as in not me, because, like, I follow this shit pretty heavily, and I'm a fucking woke, triggered SJW, leftist, fucking whatever cock you want to call me. I'm involved in issues, okay? And I care about these issues. So, to me, it's not saying anything new or profound, and to somebody who's not involved at all, but, like, knows it because of, like, cultural osmosis, this will be a fun time. I would say if you enjoyed the previous Purge movies, you'll enjoy this one also. I liked the Western gimmick that it had. I thought that was kind of cool. And I liked the more blunt, hammer fist, like, look, motherfucker, these people are bad, and they are fucking evil, and you locking them away and just pretending they don't exist is going to be your downfall. I liked that message. Like, you can't ignore this abhorrent fucking behavior forever, because it's going to seethe and grow and fester under the floorboards until eventually it's a problem that's too big to take care of. I liked that. I just felt like it could have used a bit more nuance, I guess. And, I mean, like I said, it's a fucking Purge movie, so I sound like a fucking little bitch when I say that. But whatever. Moving on.
Master, I have to retreat. He's too strong.
Nonsense. My math was precise.
This stack is much stronger than the previous one. He will kill me.
Death will be preferable to the fate that I have planned for you if you come back here empty-handed.
Walk forward, go! Back off, I'll kill him!
Get real, bitch. You think I care if he dies? Albert, grow up. You really think my mom was serious about our deal? That she could change you back to normal? Go ahead and shoot him. I don't care.
Fuck it.
Leave. Go crawl back under your rock, Albert.
Okay, looks like we got Fear Street 1977. I'm pretty sure it's 78. I wrote down 77. I also, when I was thinking of starting the video, I think it was 74, but I'm pretty certain that it's 1978. And Fear Street 1666. Fuck, man. Fear Street 1994 kind of sucked, but I gave it a pass because I had fun with it. Fear Street 1978, I didn't have fun with. I didn't. And all of the things I said about Fear Street 1994 carry over here, except there's some other issues that I'd like to talk about. My big takeaways after having been far removed from watching it was it's not as good as 1994. It's a humongous step backwards. It's trying to be the Friday the 13th sleepaway camp, like camp setting slasher movie. It's trying to use that imagery to convince you that this is the Fear Street movie that's doing that, when really it's not. It does not feel like a Friday the 13th movie. It does not feel like a sleepaway camp movie. If you think it does, it's because you've been tricked. You have been duped. You duper. You gullible piece of shit. You've been tricked by this movie into thinking it feels like that purely because of its setting. That's it. The only thing it has in common with those films is it is a movie, it is a slasher movie at a campsite. But all of the fun, all of the creep factor, all of the inventive kills, all of the sexual content, all of the edge that Sleepaway Camp and Friday the 13th had that makes them so special and rewatchable, fucking absent, gone from this movie. It is not like those movies, so stop saying it is just because it's at a campsite. In this film, there are no cool kills, not one. There's hardly any that are on screen because everyone dying is a fucking, like, preteen, and they can't show it because they're a bunch of fucking pussies. These characters suck, with the exception of two of them, and then they butt-fuck the character, one of the two, in the third one for thematic reasons. Spoilers for every movie going forward on this list. I guessed the twist with the sister being the other one the second they showed it, but that's not a huge deal. And also, I'm glad that that was what the twist ended up being, because the younger sister was way more likable. Are there anybody that's actually like an adult working at this camp? Everyone is like 15 or 14. There's no adult in sight at all. And because of that, I already knew, I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to get any sexual content. We get one. It's a dude's ass, but he wasn't very cute, and I didn't find him very attractive, so it kind of sucked. A lot of the movie was just boring. It took way too long to get into the actual slasher shit. I get that it's supposed to be the middle part of a set of 3 things, but I thought the whole kind of selling point was that each part was like a self-contained movie you could watch on its own, which is like a one narrative thread going throughout, but you could still kind of just pick one out of the 3 and watch it as a self-contained, like, this is this movie. It happens to be in the same universe as these other 2. That wasn't what they were going for. And I'm not going to complain because it wasn't what I thought it was, but I do think that that hurt the movie because it spends so much time relaying what happened last time and what's setting up what's going to happen next time. Because of that, there were, like, all of the fun slasher shit that I wanted to see just didn't happen until, like, the last 20 minutes. And like I said, even then, there was no good kills. Most of the movie takes place in this fucking underground cavern. I watched this at night on my giant TV, and I still couldn't see in this fucking thing. It was too dark, it was too murky. It's one of those movies where you get 2 characters trapped in an isolated setting, and they just scream and argue at each other and blame one another for the situation they're currently in, and then they fucking die. And that's the worst kind of movie that you can make. It's, at least in my opinion, I hate watching movies where it's people stuck in one area and they fucking scream and they argue and they bring up shit that's not even relevant to the plot, but it's supposed to be character development and I'm supposed to fucking care when really all I wanted to see was just fun summer camp slasher movie. It sucked. One kind of cool kill, and it's a dude getting his head cut off, like something so fucking basic. It's a guy with an axe running around killing people. I love axe killing. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with axes. Can I see them? Is that too much to ask? There's one character who sucks. I thought her performance was fucking horrid. It was terrible. Sorry, it was fucking garbage. This character was infuriating to listen to see talk. I thought they dragged down the pace of the fucking film whenever they showed up. I groaned every time that they would survive a near-death experience because I'm like, fuck, can they just leave the goddamn movie so we can get the wheels rolling again? And then I didn't even realize that I was supposed to apparently care about this person because their eventual death is one of those, like, mortally wounded but not all the way dead so we can have this goodbye moment, and not like a fucking awesome Friday the 13th bitchy blonde kill where they build her up and then she gets like the worst death in the whole movie or something, or the dickhead boyfriend kill where they build him up and then he gets the worst fucking kill in the movie. She's supposed to be this endearing, lovable, plucky underdog character, and I just fucking hated her. I couldn't stand her. And her death sucked, so it wasn't even satisfying, so the movie fucking blue-balled me again. The first movie, they were addicted to playing every song ever in existence from 1994 or the surrounding area. So I was actually kind of curious. I'm like, okay, well, I like music from the 70s. I'm excited to see kind of what they play, because that's what they like to do in these movies, is play a bunch of music from the time period in 1978. And then you fucking listen to it, and it's like the same fucking 8 songs they play on the radio all the time. Like, okay, basic bitches. It was just such a fucking letdown, especially because it's the same director as 1994, and I really enjoyed that movie. And a lot of the characters that I liked from 1994, I didn't realize truly how much I liked the brother and the sister character. I really did grow attached to them, so I missed them in this one when I only had 2 characters to root for, one of which who turned into a fucking dickhead in the third movie. I don't know. Fear Street 1978 was a letdown. I thought it was a fucking slog to get through. And it really, a lot of the goodwill that I had coming out of 1994 into this one, as much as how many problems I had with that, I still was ultimately looking forward to it. And then I was like, okay, fuck. Well, I'm sorry I ever said anything nice about you, Fear Street 1994, because now I'm in Fear Street 1978 territory, and it sucks. So, let's get into Fear Street 1666. So I was really excited to hear the bangers, the classic hits from 1666 they were gonna bust out. I didn't get any. I didn't get none. I got violin, I got ominous droning noises. Come on, man. There's some bangers that came out of 1666. Billboard Top 100 in 1666 was fucking all straight. All hits, no misses. So, Fear Street in 1666, I was like, okay, well, at least we're gonna pull ourselves out of 1978. We'll get a fresh, clean palette. Hopefully we can finish strong. And that second part will just kind of be the transitional piece between 2 stronger beginning and ending acts. Incorrect. In fact, this movie had me pining for the days of Fear Street 1978. This movie was fucking garbage. I wanted to turn it off. I ended up watching the whole thing because I dug deep and pulled something out of myself I had never seen before, where I just had to finish the fucking movie, but oh fuck, I really hated it. Ooh, I hated it. The first half of this movie that's actually set in 1666 is what does all of the damage. I'm gonna circle back to it because I want to just get the 1994 shit out of the way. The second half of the movie takes place back in 1994. It's like 1994 Part 2. That shit was, fuck it, whatever. It was mainly fine. All of the things I said about 1994 were present again. So, both pros and cons. And I just was like, okay, whatever. Fuck it. I'm just glad to be out of 1666. That's all there is to it. It's just my review for 1994. That again for this thing, and it's again surprising because it's the same lady directing all 3 of them, and she did such a strong job with that 1994 setting, and for some reason just couldn't grasp 1978 or 1666. It wasn't feasible. Fear Street 1994 Part 2, sure, you get a pass. 1666 on the other hand, this shit was fucking garbage. This was The Witch, the movie The Witch, whatever, it's The Witch. The Witch for YA audiences, for stupid fucking teenagers that don't understand old-timey folklore speak, that don't understand the complexities and the ins and outs and the politics, really, of the Salem witch trials, or of witchcraft in general. This is the kind of movie, there's a person I knew, and she's been on this channel, I'm not gonna point her out, but there's a person I knew once that would have fucking loved this movie because they were into witchcraft and Ouija boards and fucking mystical stones that fluctuate your mood and that fucking bullshit. And they would have loved this. They would have fucking came in their pants over this stupid fucking opening, okay? It's typical.
Oh, twist, the witch is the good one, and we're the evil ones.
It's so fucking predictable and basic, and in no way fun or interesting. They dumbed down the actual language of that time period so that dumb fucking trogs from this time period can understand what they're saying without needing a fucking translator or having to leave their brain turned on to watch it. The music was fucking terrible. Everyone in the reused actors and shit were all dog shit. It does this huge pet peeve I have with movies set in the back in time era where main characters that are supposed to be identifiable and likable get pristine, clean teeth, but dickhead, evil, ancient-minded characters have to have time period accurate, rotten-ass teeth. Jack Sparrow, as cool as he is, would have the same teeth that Barbossa has. I'm sorry, guys. And the same goes for all of the fucking lovable, cute, baby-faced teen leads in this movie. Something about it was as irritating as like a fucking gnat in my ear, and I sat there enraged, waiting for it to end. It just farted, fucked around, and wasted my fucking time, and it was boring, and it was annoying, and it was preachy, and it was fucking stupid. I just wanted to go back to 1994. I was like, fuck, I hate this time period. I don't know how many times I can say it's just predictable and stupid and boring and dumbed down and preachy and fucking spoon-feeding and patronizing. That's really what it felt like, was just patronizing. The best description I can say is it was like The Witch for fucking idiots. It's The Witch for dummies. That's all it was. And it left such a poor taste in my mouth that I didn't give a fuck about the 1994 Part 2 stuff. I just wanted this shit to end. If I wanted to sit here and really break it down and waste my fucking time, I could poke out all of the galaxy worth of plot holes throughout all three films, and how the narrative is sloppy and stupid and doesn't make any fucking sense at all if you actually lay it out and think about it. But I don't want to, because it's just a waste of my time, and I have other things on this list I would much rather talk about. And I guess, could I recommend them if your IQ is like 12? Sure. If you are 12, sure. I'm coming off really mean and jaded, but that's how this movie made me feel. And it was such a bummer because I really did enjoy 1994. And it made me even think about, like, did I really hate 1978 as much as I thought I did? I don't know. I don't know. All that being said, I think the biggest issue is that you have one director who clearly shows that she's capable and able, being stretched thin across 3 projects, and I'm almost certain that somebody came in and did a lot of second unit work to finish up all of this. I don't think she did all of it round the clock, back to back to back. That would be insanity. And if she did, then I'm like, round of applause for that lady, because that's fucking insane, especially considering how at least all 3 of them are watchable afterwards. I don't want them to give up on her, and I don't think they will, because I'm the only one that thinks this. These movies have done tremendously well for them. Everyone loves these. I don't want them to give up on this concept either, of like a trilogy of movies that come out week to week to week. I think if you just taken a little bit more time and really refined each individual part, and also had 3 separate directors and 3 separate visions with one solid through line that they could all adhere to, you would have had a lot stronger of a product afterwards. But you didn't do that. You stretched one lady thin to the gills, and now we have one movie that's pretty solid, I guess, even though it leads to a bunch of shit I don't like anymore. You got one movie that kind of fucking sucked, but had some good things in it, and then you got one movie that I just really did not care for at all. So, without getting too mean, we're gonna move on to our next movie.
Man, this shortcut was not a good idea. Who's out here?
Hey. Over here. Closer. I should have known this whole villain team-up thing wasn't going to last. But that's okay. I have more fun on my own anyways. It's time for Oswald, the Omnipotent, to get back to doing what he does best. Tormenting Dante Graves.
That movie is Space Jam: A New Legacy, starring LeBron James and Bugs Bunny. Space Jam, the first one, is not a movie that I'm particularly nostalgic for. I watched it a lot as a kid because everyone did, but when you say Looney Tunes, what more comes to mind is like the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie. I watched that shit all the time, and it was fucking hilarious. Daffy Duck cartoons, just as his own entity, those are awesome. I used to have a bunch of DVDs of him, and I'd watch him all the time, and he was always my favorite Looney Tune. Space Jam: A New Legacy. Man, people are really angry about this movie when it's Space Jam. And so I had a pitch for a Space Jam sequel a long time ago, where you would have it be, instead of Michael Jordan, you'd have it be John Cena, or I guess you could go with The Rock, and it would be WWE, like a bunch of WWE wrestlers, and it would be called Space Slam. I thought that would be a fun idea. And to get all the Looney Tunes involved at the end, you'd have it be like a Survivor Series 5-on-5 match. That'd be kind of easy. And, you know, John Cena is a lot cheaper of a star to get, I would think, than LeBron James. The Rock, definitely not. But you could, if you wanted to go big with it, then have The Rock. You know, I'm sure he'd be willing to mess around with Bugs Bunny. I could see that happening. But they didn't do that. They didn't switch to another sport. You know, there wasn't space golf with Tiger Woods. There wasn't space football with football player guy in it. We got Space Jam: A New Legacy. This is gonna piss some people off. Oh boy. But I thought Space Jam: A New Legacy was just okay. It was just fine. And I don't mean just okay as in like, it was okay. I mean like, it was just okay. It was okay. I was fine with it. I'm fine with it existing. I thought it was as good as it probably could have been. I don't think it was like lost potential. I think it was just as good, if not better, than the first one. Because I don't know if you motherfuckers have watched Space Jam recently, or if you did and you're just convinced it's better because you saw it as a kid, but LeBron James is a better actor than Michael Jordan. I'm not saying LeBron James is fucking Robert De Niro. I'm just saying that he's better than Michael Jordan. LeBron is really likable in this movie, and he's taking it seriously, which I kind of like, because then I can just laugh at it. If he's not having fun, and if he's not gelling with it and taking it seriously, if he just has that look on his face like, this is fucking stupid, why am I here, then I'm just miserable and don't want to be here either. But he looks like he's having fun with it and he's taking it seriously, so I liked that. It seemed like he wanted to do it. The music was all great. which for a Space Jam movie I actually do think is important. Really my biggest issues with it is just like if you watched it by yourself, and a lot of people have said this, if you watch this movie by yourself, you'll probably want to fucking kill yourself, and you'd be well within your rights because this movie would be fucking terrible by yourself. If you watch it with friends though, I think it's a good time. It's not the kind of movie you should put on and pay attention to. And that's gonna be like, well then why is it good? I'm like, because that's what the first Space Jam movie was. It's literally about fucking Looney Tunes playing basketball. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, well there's all these Warner Brothers properties flying around and they're just trying to like bank off HBO Max and shit. Dude, the first Space Jam movie was like plugs for the NBA, Looney Tunes, Bill Murray, Michael Jordan himself, McDonald's, Nike, also all of the artists who did music for it. It was this conglomeration of 90s culture all funneled into one thing, just jammed together. That's the same thing that Space Jam: A New Legacy is, except it's just that lens being applied to modern day stuff. So yeah, we're gonna get this giant funnel of culture and genres and music and celebrities and cameos and references, because that's what the first one was, you dumb fuck. The game at the end of this movie is not as good as the game at the end of the first movie. This one, they have all the cameos on the sides of the court. I think if I was to watch it again, I would like it a little bit better, because I was watching it the first time and I found myself just glossing over because it was just sensory overload. There was just so much shit going on the court and outside the court that I couldn't even focus on the fucking game. And it was so removed from basketball that it like had no stakes at all, I guess. Like there was shit at stake, but the rules were just video game rules with Mortal Kombat characters, and like that's fun, but like I kind of liked that the original movie was like actually a sports movie just with Looney Tunes, I guess. I just can't find myself to get too angry about it, I guess, and this might be kind of a drab review because I don't have much to say other than it was fine. It's Space Jam 2 and it was just as good as it needed to be. It was fun that one evening. I'll never watch it again unless I'm babysitting and they want to watch it, then it's not gonna kill me to sit through it again. So, and that's all it needed to be. It's for fucking little kids. And I hate when people say that, like, well, it's for kids, so it's not supposed to be good. I'm saying, like, it's supposed to be good for kids. And it really, I'm not gonna fucking harp on Space Jam 2 for not aspiring to the lengths of fucking Coach Carter. That's one of my favorite basketball movies. Or White Men Can't Jump, my actual favorite basketball movie. I'm not gonna like be like, why weren't you as good as those? Like, it's Space Jam 2. I don't want to spend too much fucking more time on it because like I'm only on this earth for so long. I could die tomorrow because I could get killed by Jack Carver. He could bust in here again and kill me. And then that'll be the end of my life, and I spent a few hours of it beforehand talking about Space Jam: A New Legacy. And that would be dumb. Old is a film by M. Night Shyamalan. I think some people say Shyamalan and other people say Shyamalan. To be progressive, I'm gonna find out how you actually pronounce it. I want to fucking know. Surname is pronounced Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan. Okay, so so it's not Shyamalan. They're just overcomplicating. Shyamalan is really hit or miss. I don't think I have to tell anybody that. To really properly review an M. Night film, I think you have to first preface by saying what M. Night movies you liked prior to that. So, with that in the way, I really liked The Sixth Sense. I love Unbreakable. Seriously, I do. I didn't quite care for the ending when I first saw it, but I'm kind of just whatever about it now, but I love the movie surrounding it. It's a great movie. Signs, I liked when I was younger, and then I got older, and now I don't like it anymore quite as much, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a great first viewing movie. That first viewing is so fucking good. I love showing it to people, and then I can, like, by proxy get their viewing off of it. I enjoyed Split when it first came out, mostly because of that ending. Everything around it was just kind of slow. And I actually didn't mind Glass. Yet again, the ending was just dumb, though. The movie leading up to that I thought was fine, you know, and that's kind of M. Night's whole thing is like, oh, well, the movies are fine, and then I fucking shit the bed at the ending of it, and that's not a unique opinion at all. Everyone says and thinks this. There are straight up, like, M. Night fans, though, that they love The Village, they love The Lady in the Water, they don't love After Earth. The dude is prolific as shit, and he seems like a super cool guy, so I would say I like him as a human. His movies are hit or miss, but when he hits, man, he really fucking hits. Old is a film that I think more or less is a hit. I'm serious. The ending, once again, fucking stupid. Quit it. Knock it off. Fucking stop doing it. What I did is I'm like, I'm not gonna pay and see this movie. This movie looks really interesting. Like, the trailers really sold me on it. I'm like, that's a fucking awesome, like, Twilight Zone type concept. I want to see this movie. But it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I'm not gonna pay and see it if I know that what I'm paying to see is just gonna piss me off later. If I'm gonna be really sucked in and then the ending's gonna be like, fuck you. So I looked it up. I'm like, okay, what's the ending? Just tell me the ending. And I didn't look up anything else about the film. Once finding out the ending, I'm like, okay, well, that's dumb, and I can tell that's already dumb. But now that I know it, I'm gonna watch the movie knowing that that's what it is. So I'm almost like getting my second viewing first, and I love doing that for some movies. Some movies, that first viewing, you need that experience. But a lot of times, if I don't feel like I want to have to watch it twice to really evaluate it, I just look up what all happens, and I go see it the first time, knowing, and then you get that second viewing. And that's like a great feeling sometimes, because then your feelings are a lot more intelligent coming out of it. I think the script is one of the best ever for any of his films. It's such a good structure. If you're really into movie structure, Old is terrific. It has not a single character I didn't like to some extent. At least a little bit. And a lot of them I really liked. And I think that's so perfect. Because, okay, remember what I said earlier about how I hate movies, horror films specifically, where you have a bunch of characters trapped in one location in a shitty situation, and they scream and argue and blame each other and say, fuck you, no, it's your fault, you made us come out here because you forgot the fucking keys, and it's like, just shit like that, and then they all die. Open Water, The Ruin, something like that. Hunger, like those kinds of movies where it's like, let's stick people in one area and it sucks, and then they fucking die and they all hate each other. Don't you feel good? Did you enjoy our movie? I hate that shit. Old is not one of those movies. Old is a movie where we stick a lot of really unique characters. Some might say like that they're impossibly competent to be put in this situation. I disagree with you, because really that is a necessity of the plot to make the movie watchable. So I'm willing to suspend my disbelief that everyone on this beach just happens to be a very intelligent and well thought out individual that all is really easy to get along with the exception of a couple people that are put there for dramatic effect, you know. They're all united in like, okay, we understand what is happening now, let's try and think of a way out of it. Let's band together and come up with a solution. I love those fucking movies. Yes, because then I can like pick sides and root for characters, and allegiances form and allegiances fall, and it's super interesting. I'm never bored. The other thing is, this movie is fucking miserable. It's super depressing. You will want to kill yourself leaving the theater. I guarantee it. It is such a fucking bummer of a movie. One of my friends, as we were leaving the theater, they said that they are never going to see a movie with the kid from Hereditary, this guy, who's also in this movie, ever again. Because the 2 times they've seen him in a movie, with the exception of that stupid-ass Jumanji movie, it just fucking like wrecked their world, and he's too good of an actor and makes them too fucking depressed, so they're never going again. And I'm like, that's fair, but I think he's a terrific actor. He's also very cute. With it being a super depressing, miserable movie, they do one thing that makes it infinitely more watchable than other movies that are like depressing, slow, body horror death films is they set it in this beautiful tropical beach area. So it's like it makes it much more watchable, because like, yes, well, what's happening on screen is fucking horrible and horrific and terrible. The setting just is like just soothing and calming enough that the comfort never really leaves. So you're just able to watch it enough before it starts to go too far and you just stop having fun. I guess it keeps you just on edge. By the end of the film, I would say that deteriorates and the movie becomes just straight up horrific and disturbing and you don't want to watch it anymore. But by the time it's over, you feel good. You just know you never want to sit through it again, and that's a great type of movie, because then it's kind of movie that I'm not going to have to watch again, because I'm going to remember it so well. Because a lot of people have said that some of the images that they show you in this movie will haunt you. That's definitely true, especially one scene, the scene with the supermodel lady, who she has a calcium deficiency. If you've seen the movie, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Her death in the film was one of the most disturbing, nightmarish fucking things I've ever seen. Like, it was that bad. I really, really, really did not like seeing it. It was horrific, okay? It was so masterfully shown and depicted that it wasn't gratuitous, and it wasn't like uncomfortable. Like, it was uncomfortable in just the right amount. It was just surgical precision. M. Night knew exactly how much of it he needed to show you for you to be skeeved out by it and feel terrified without it like pushing you away. It's a balancing act for sure. And like, I mean, if they had went totally fucking double down and just depicted all of the horrific things that are happening in the movie and not just kind of panned away from them, which they do a lot, I would have still been able to tolerate it, but your average moviegoer wouldn't have. And so he's smart enough to know how much he can get away with. And so it's not that he's a pussy or doesn't want to show it. He wants to make a movie that a lot of people can enjoy, and he understands how much he can get away with showing like big tumors getting cut out of people and babies dying and people falling on rocks and dying and a woman breaking all of her fucking limbs because of a calcium deficiency. Like, he knows how much of that your wide audience is going to tolerate. All those things being said, the ending, yes, was dumb, but if you just look at this movie, and honestly a lot of M. Night's movies, as cheesy B-movie plots, but directed up to like the umpth degree scale, he's like elevating the material, those endings stick out worse because you're watching a movie that's so competently done elsewhere. But M. Night really does just like cheesy, goofy, goosebumps twist endings. And I recommend, honestly, you go look up the ending. I don't want to like explain it, because I'm going to go into like why the ending's dumb. I don't need to do that. Everyone else is doing that already. And you're going to hear it ad nauseum because it's an M. Night movie, so everyone's going to want to fucking tell you how smart they are because they know why the ending is stupid. This is like typical B-movie, like, ooh, evil pharmaceutical company, evil government agency, evil whatever. It's so fucking basic, and he knows that. But the plot around it isn't. And so when they reveal it, it's just to give you a boogeyman to defeat at the end of the movie and leave you feeling somewhat like there was closure and there was justice at the end of this film. And you didn't just watch a bunch of people suffer and die in this horrific fucking scenario for no reason. And that's fine. It actually did help the movie, as dumb as it was. If I wanted to sit here and be an asshole, I could sure complain about it, but I don't really feel like it. I don't, you know? So, Old. Check it out. I liked it.